Hi, it's Robert Mitchell, and I'm here in Toronto International Film Festival. Hi. Good, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Welcome to Midnight Madness.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Good evening and welcome to Midnight Madness. This is Colin Geddes from the program of Midnight Madness. And I like to boast that we have something for everyone in Midnight Madness. Okay, we have. I mean, it's been really violent and bloody for the last few weeks. Free fire, bullets whizzing everywhere. Headshot! Beat to the head! Bullets in the eyes, crazy! Machetes to the face, and then last night's Velcro experiment. If you see a man there, Craig McLean, stand up! And now, things change, and things get spooky. Things get creepy. Who likes being scared? Yeah! No. Who likes really being scared? And this film, so eagerly anticipated. We have been waiting for this. And of course, it was announced that the director and writer were doing this little film called The Woods. Everyone got really excited, and then suddenly there was a bait switch. And it's called Blair Witch. Powerful words, my friend, powerful words. And the two men who have stepped up to take the challenge on, they've got a great history with our festival. They first debuted in the Vanguard program with the little film Horrible Way to Die. And when they went for Horrible Way to Die, they saw all the Midnight Madness films and they were so impressed by you guys that they came back with a film which was tailor-made for this specific audience, and that was You're Next. The guests! So it's only fitting that they return to the stage with the audience that they love the most. Put your hands together for director Adam Wingard and writer
Greg, you know what? We both get we both get our haircut by the same guy. Jason Dean, where are you? Yes. Oh, there you are. Is that right? Yeah. Or is he lying to me? Is my haircut guy lying to me anyway? So this is a true story. We're really excited to be, like you've already like spoiled everything. We're super excited. Blah blah blah. If you follow me on Twitter, you know that I've been prepping for this evening by drinking a whole lot. I'm honestly really excited to watch this movie with you guys because, when you make a horror film, you get to watch it with an audience, and you can make a drama like A Horrible Way to Die or something, and everybody's really quiet, and you're like, I don't know if they like this movie or not, and then you see it, and then you go on Twitter, and then everybody's like, it was okay, it was kind of depressing, blah, blah, but when you're watching a horror movie with an audience, I think the only thing comparable to it is when you're watching a comedy, and you get that immediate response, and this is a movie that we made to really get a jolt out of the audience, so I really hope you enjoy it. Am I spoiling this? The cast and crew here?
Yeah, well, this is our first, it's our first documentary.
Lionsgate showed us the footage that they found, you know, we knew that we had to do this. And I guess I just want to thank Toronto, TIFF, the festival, for bringing kind of a serious issue documentary like this. And yeah, our cast is here for a Q&A after the film. Thank you so much.
All right, I'll be less drunk after the movie. Let's do this. This one. All right.
Start the Q&A here. We'll start talking and then we'll bring in some special guests. Well, guys, when did you first agree to take on the mantle and go further into the woods?
Actually, we've been attached to this thing for quite some time. Right before we did the guests, Jason Constantine from Lionsgate and Edith Cowan, they set us down and kind of told us that they, you know, were interested in us, you know, kind of doing a new Blair Witch film, and you know, Simon and I were both, you know, huge fans of the original, but truthfully, we hadn't really seen the original since it really came out, honestly. So it was one of those things where it was like, you know, we had this nostalgic value to it, and we were instantly interested in it, you know, from that kind of perspective. But we kind of were like, well, you know, we're about to go off and do the guest, and so it was one of those things where it was like, after we do the guest, we'll do this. So, you know, this thing has been kind of crazy because of the secrecy behind it, so we've actually been holding it, you know, kind of, you know, under wraps for 3 years now, you know.
Even from your close friends, too, guys.
We got to get into the Lionsgate marketing department to go and move on and things like that. Something kind of unique with this project, and I mean, you know, we weren't going to be the ones who buffed it up.
So, I mean, it's incredibly, technically, there's so much going on because you've been able to put in place, it's not just one camera, it's several cameras. Can you talk about your decisions on how you crafted that?
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, like, I mean, the main thing that I remember, you know, from the original film is like an audience member was just how authentic it felt, you know, and that's what's so cool about doing a film like this is being able to kind of, you know, do it from the perspective of what worked for you whenever you saw it, you know, just as, you know, a regular audience. And, you know, so for me, it was the main thing that was important is that we, you know, kind of live up to that kind of, you know, commitment towards reality. So, you know, like, you know, we went and tested a whole bunch of different cameras and things like that and make sure that we could actually shoot with real flashlights, and we didn't have any fill light or anything like that. You know, so it was kind of scary sometimes because you're sitting there and you're like, yeah, we're spending a couple $1 million on this thing and we're, you know, fucking lighting it with flashlights. You know, it's like, when is somebody going to tell us to stop doing this? Like, are we doing this wrong? You know, because technically this was like our biggest budget thing at the time, and you know, but we were, you know, doing it in kind of a lower budget way than we'd ever done anything else before in some ways. You know.
Well, and it's you know, it's weird to remember that the original film, part of the authenticity is that it was actually filmed by the actors with the cameras that you see them holding. Our film was obviously a completely different challenge, and we might get into this more when our cast is up here. But you know, the cameras that you see them holding are not the cameras that we're shooting with. So every in fact, it's like actors wearing rigs and stuff. So everything took a long time to block and figure out, and it was quite a challenge.
So yeah, one interesting tidbit actually is that Lane's camera, the kind of high 8 camera that he uses, going back to our first, you know, feature at Toronto, A Horrible Way to Die. Actually, the movie that the camera that we actually shot that entire film with, A Horrible Way to Die, was the one that we ended up using Lane's camera with. And we tested a bunch of cameras, and it ended up being the most interesting looking. And so we ended up actually buying that camera back from my DP who shot A Horrible Way to Die. And so a lot of that footage, especially like the last shot of the film and stuff you see, is actually off of that camera, which at the time, you know, when we did A Horrible Way to Die, we're like, this is a great camera. And then we're like, now we need a camera that looks really shitty. And
Adam operated most of those shots himself because our DP was just like, you know, I don't know what to do with this.
So house lights are slowly going to come up. Once they come up, we'll be able to bring out our guests. can we talk about the lore? I mean, when the film came out, you were both really deep into it. How did you kind of retain and recreate and go further with the mythology?
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's somewhat the, please turn off. No. Okay. No, I mean, like, that was kind of what was exciting about working on the project. I mean, there were a lot of things that excited us about this. You know, we talked between the two of us about how we wanted to make, like, you know, a really scary film someday, but, you know, so that was exciting. Obviously, when Lionsgate kind of mentioned that they had this. But another thing that was exciting is, you know, we turned down, after your next, Adam and I turned down, like, literally dozens of kind of sequels and reboots and things like that. And this was the first one that excited us, not only because, you know, we had a friendship with, like, Eduardo Sanchez and Barrett from VHS too, but also because, you know, there is so much left to explore in that mythology. The first film obliquely hints at such a rich history of the Blair Witch haunting, and there's just so much to do with that.
Yeah, I remember whenever I saw the first film, like, I got really obsessed with it, and, you know, went online and, you know, researched Rustin Parr and stuff like that. And it was kind of funny because, you know, I was kind of disappointed in the original, you know, The Book of Shadows, the sequel to it, and so, you know, it kind of took the wind out of me, you know, so I hadn't really watched the film, you know, for like almost 10 years whenever we sat down with Lionsgate and started talking about it, but it was interesting how quickly all the kind of like lore, like the Rustin Parr of it all and all that kind of stuff, like I retained all this like basically useless information, you know, and it was like, oh, finally I can put this to use, you know, I spent a lot of time on the internet, on the web, you know, like looking at all this bullshit, and now I can finally make a movie out of it and, you know, justify, you know, my pitiful, you know, existence.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, like, all that kind of ancillary Blair Witch materials that came out in 1999, that was like the infancy of the internet. So you'd like research the film and stuff would come up about like how they actually disappeared in the woods, and you go, oh my god, it's true. Now in 2016, we actually literally don't believe anything that the internet tells us. It is true. So you know, it was exciting to just, yeah, I mean, just as fans, to kind of create the sequel that we always kind of wanted to see.
And you want to bring in your guest? Now that everyone can see.
Can you guys come out here and we'll introduce you in order of appearance. Callie Hernandez, come out, please. We're missing Mr. Brandon Scott, who's unfortunately
killed.
Died. He's still in the house. You saw him standing in the corner. He couldn't make it.
He's alive.
By the way,
yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's making a movie with Griselda.
He's in London.
Or a TV show.
So I want to ask the cast of all you, as I'm watching this, I mean, this looked like it was a pretty horrible shoot. I mean, it's raining, you're being like going through mud. I mean, how bad was it? Or were you guys walking off the trailers, or like how far did this guy push you? That's the question.
All the way.
James, you start.
It was fun in like the weirdest way. Like it's kind of like camping. It was sort of nice. Yeah. It was like summer camp, but with better food.
But with lions.
Yeah.
Like...
No, it was. I mean, honestly, it was kind of grueling, like physically. Like we had to walk back and forth the same trail a lot. But there was something really invigorating about being a part of such a cool set of stories. You know, like the lore is just incredible. I was so enthralled with just being in a part of this that it really never faced me. How.
Yeah, and I feel like you particularly had it, like, I guess everybody in the cast had it horribly different, you know what I'm saying? Like, James did a lot of his own camera work, like with this like awful helmet rig, so a lot of the ending stuff with his character is his POV, and so, you know, like that was a really, you know, horrible rig to wear.
Like, well, it was kind of cool to be, I'm like really proud of that, you know, that's like at the very end, I feel like that's something I can take pride of, just actually having control of that. I'm also controlling the act, so it's kind of cool to do that. But I don't know, it didn't bother me until I took the rig off and realized how much I was housing.
You had scoliosis.
I went to a physical therapist afterwards, and she just was so confused.
She laughed.
She cried.
Callie, do you want to talk about how miserable our shoot was?
No. No, it was,
I mean, that tunnel is a tunnel that our production designer, Tom Hammock, I mean, he built a...
He's amazing.
He's great. He worked on the gas. He really built a 60-foot long, basically, tunnel that got tight enough that Callie, who, as you can see, is quite slender, could not fit through it, really.
Well, the tunnel was built to, basically just the width of...
it was 1 inch wider than my shoulders,
Yeah.
And
to
so-
be exact.
But the hilarious thing is that no one could test it, because no one was...
Except me.
Except Callie and...
Yeah, the DP tried to get in there, and he got like about 2 inches in, and he got really claustrophobic, and he
They had
got
to
back
come
around.
around. Yeah, they-
Actually, when we were shooting that scene, because like the way that we would do it is that, Callie would have to climb from one end of it to the other, and it was a huge reset if you ended up having a panic attack and actually having to get it pulled out, so it was extremely discouraged
Well,
to
you
do
would
that.
destroy it.
And, yeah, or maybe we didn't tell you that.
I knew.
It was like an hour reset.
But, it was one of those things where whenever we did the scene, we had a stunt person behind Callie that was also jammed in that tunnel so that she could grab her legs, to, kind of make it, more believable whenever she gets stuck. But on top of that, there was also a camera operator in front of her, who was also just kind of like helping kind of manage the camera, for the shots that were pointed at her. And it was kind of funny because, for one, I sure as hell would never go in that tunnel. I want to support the cast any way I can, but there's no way in hell that I could ever do that in a million years. But the first camera operator that actually went in there ended up having a panic attack, and we had to pull him out. And then the second guy that went in, like Callie was like getting ready for the scene, and so like we would, set the camera up, and she'd be like, okay, give me a second.
Well, Adam and I would talk to walkie-talkies.
Yeah,
Adam was on the outside watching the monitor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the way I communicate to her was just a little walkie-talkie in there with her, and so there'd be this long pause, and she'd be in there kind of like getting ready, and getting ready for the scene. And one of the first takes we did of it, it actually looked so disturbing, and plus the camera operator that was in there, like he thought that Callie was actually having like real trouble with it, And so you can it was like quiet on the set, and everybody's getting ready for it. And then suddenly you just hear this camera operator being like, "It's fine. Just come towards me. You're gonna be okay." And Callie's like, "No."
I'm acting. Are you okay, Mom? Are you all right? And he was sort of like, yeah, I'm totally fine. Totally good. Ready when you are. But I don't think that guy was all that fun. he managed, but yeah, it was funny.
That was our last day of shooting, just in case anyone quit.
Was it? Second to last.
Second to last?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe we didn't, yeah.
Does the audience have any questions on the side? Yeah.
Great job, all of you. Spoken to you that you mentioned in your film. Did you consult or seek out any actual real life witches in the area?
We actually had, the question is, did you actually consult or seek out any real life witches in the area?
We were shooting the scene, I think on the third night, where Callie and I wake up and there's all the idols surrounding the tent, like a nest, and we had some extra crew on set that day because there were a few of us on there and there was a lot to do. And we had a makeup lady who was almost on the brink of tears, like she was like doing touch-ups on me. And I was like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "There's something evil here." Yeah, I was like, what is it? And then Adam came out. I don't know if it's the same night. I remember you being like, if you wanted to conjure, if you wanted to have seance, all you need is like idols chanting and people to believe it. Here we are. So
yeah, I would actually I had a little speaker that I bring on set. Yeah. I had like these Aleister Crowley
so fucked up
things that I'd be walking around with it, and who knows what the hell we did with that. Whenever I was doing the soundtrack release, I was putting a bunch of stuff together, and I was putting the final touches on it, and just as I was about to finish, there was a knock at my door, and I stood up and I broke my toe really hard. So I'm just going to chalk that up to the curse of the Blair Witch.
So maybe.
Campfire thing?
Well, that was kind of
That's a good story.
Yeah, we did hear some weird shit. Like, yeah, there was one night where it was like this weird, I don't know what it was. It was like, I don't know if it was like an animal
I think it
being murdered or
was
definitely
something.
some animal.
No, Adam said, just use it.
Yeah.
It's true.
What about the night that you sent a PA into the woods and attempted to focus it so you could get it on camera so that you could put it into the bill?
Yeah.
But it all went awry. He literally sent someone in with a Sasquatch costume into the woods when they were filming. And like,
Yeah.
I hid behind Valorie and I was
he's like,
like,
keep filming, keep shooting, the sun's coming up, keep shooting, the sun's coming up. We're like, fuck no. Where's the bear? We signed contracts that said we will be aware of wildlife. And you're trying to kill us. And then he's like, oh, it didn't work. You guys are too scared to get it. Like, that's fucked up.
We preaching getting by a bear, getting.
That was really messed up, Adam.
I just remember like yelling, I'm not comfortable for some reason, like over and over behind Valorie.
I was out. I was like, bye.
Well, you know, I mean,
This is too real.
yeah, for some reason, one of the locations guy had a Sasquatch costume, and it just seems like, yeah, well, it's just like, that's why we had to use it at some point. I was so excited, and it wasn't quite as exciting as I thought it was going to be. It still scared the shit out of everybody. Because I kind of played along with it, but I was trying not to laugh all the time. I'm like, wait a minute, do you hear that noise? It's like, you could hear like this like rustling, and there's like a guy dressed up as a locations guy.
Those fucking footsteps, man.
That was good. Well, I mean, like, that was the interesting thing about doing a movie like this is, you know, obviously it's got a shitload of jump scares and stuff, and the thing that I discovered within doing it is that, you know, you get to elicit those kind of reactions is that you just got to really, you know, actually, you know, basically make you guys like jump. So I had like these kind of series of air horns in my trailer that I called my scare horns. And so, you know, like basically like whenever I wanted to get, you know, a reaction out of these guys, I would just, you know, kind of blow this air horn really loud. And, you know, after a while, I think you guys got kind of desensitized to the air horn.
Yeah,
Not me. I got like a
little John video.
Yeah. I think it really annoyed like a lot of the people who live nearby there.
Well, we had air horns to scare off bears, and then, you know, there weren't any bears, so we
Bear
had
horns.
to use.
Bear horns.
The bears like went nothing to fucking do with that shit.
Okay, who else we have? You're on the other side, yeah.
What was up with Ashley's foot?
Simon?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we want to, you know, explain too much about, you know, maybe we'll...
It's the pedicure she got before she came.
Yeah. You know, like the Eileen Treacle story, you know, from the original film with her crossing the river, and we just kind of like the idea that the victims of this haunting in some way are kind of infected and transformed by the forest themselves, and you see kind of, you know, variations of that within the movie itself. That's probably what we want to say about that.
Yes, on the side aisle.
Did you use any of the original filming locations from the first one?
No, unfortunately not. I mean, I really wanted to shoot in that area, but you know, just for, you know, basically to maximize our shooting schedule, we ended up shooting it in Vancouver, which is kind of a pain in the ass because Vancouver looks the least like that area from the first film. So we had to find the one little spot that's like right in the border of Washington that kind of had that similar wildlife, and then we tried to kind of phase everything else out. So it was kind of funny because we'd always be like, you know, in this direction there's this beautiful mountainscape, but you can't shoot that, but you have to shoot these boring fucking trees over here. And so there's always that kind of thing going into it. But, you know, you don't do a Blair Witch movie to make, you know, something super pretty, you know. So.
Yes.
Bill, we're all glad to have seen this. Was there ever a plan to just release it into World of original head? Was that ever going to find out?
Yeah, talk about the marketing decisions here.
Yeah, no, I mean, this was really always the plan from the start. I mean, there were some discussions of like exactly when and where, you know, we'd reveal the title of this movie and its true nature, but I think if we held the secret until after the film was released, it might actually, unfortunately, have been held until like, you know, Netflix or, you know, you kind of, you know, it's tricky because it's great to surprise people, and we wanted to do that, and we did, but we've also learned that people kind of like to know somewhat about the movie that they're paying to see on their night off. fun. So hopefully, I mean, this film hasn't come out yet, obviously, but you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, when we first got up here, I mean, you know, Simon and I have been attached to this thing since 2013. So keeping this thing was secret was almost like traumatic to the point where, you know, as soon as we did that Comic-Con screening and we were finally able to say that it was Blair Witch, it was almost like, it felt like weird. It was like, because we got so used to saying the woods. And you know, the first film, you know, the first film's so intertwined with its marketing campaign in terms of, you know, the fact that you thought that, you know, those, you know, Heather and Josh and Mike all died in the woods or whatever, went missing. You know, we knew we couldn't do that again because you just can't pull that same trick twice. But, you know, like going into it, you know, it was very clear that, like, to do it, you know, to bring back the Blair Witch, you have to do something kind of interesting and clever, because that's the fun of the whole, you know, kind of, you know, thing. And so, you know, we're just really lucky that, you know, everybody at Lionsgate was on the same page and, you know, had a really great plan. And, you know, keeping it secret in itself was very interesting, just in terms of, you know, Simon had to write a sort of safe draft, you know, where, you know, every time he mentioned the words Blair Witch, it was replaced with the words car rape. That's correct. And so when all these guys auditioned, you know, they probably thought they were like getting on board with like the stupidest film ever. You know? So it was kind of like, oh, I promise you guys, this is not going to be terrible.
Yeah, and you know, and we were kind of even kept. That was after we worked a secret at, like, you know, from everyone. You know, our executives, Jason Constantine and Nina Cohen, who started this project with us, like, kind of kept us a secret even at the studio, or even other people at Lionsgate didn't know what we were doing. So I think, you know, I'm not married, but I feel like making this movie is like the closest I'll ever have to like an affair. You just have a secret part of your life.
Because I mean, last year, like, right after TIFF, I went to LA and I had a meeting at the Lionsgate office to talk about a bunch of stuff.
We looked you in the eyes.
Well, the funny thing, we had the cafeteria and you happened to be there. It was like this weird coincidence. Hey, how are you guys doing? And I was sitting with Jason, and actually Blair Witch came up in our conversation. Just happened to come up. And I think he was biting his tongue, like couldn't tell anything. So I mean, it was a secret well kept. Yeah, Jason's right there. Do we have time for the?
It's the Price is Right over there. Yes, you. Got a lot of pressure on you. This better be good.
Basically, you said you did a lot of research for the film. There's a lot of mythology in it. Do you think there's going to be any more Blair Witch sequels?
I mean, you know, people ask us that, but you know, you guys have to see our movies.
It was really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely will be more if the movie performs well at the box office.
I mean, we love, you know, yeah, we
definitely. That's the truth of it, you know. I mean, you know, yeah, exactly. I mean, I think we know where we would take it, and you know, and definitely we try to set up some things in a very subtle way with this film, and you know, yeah, there's tons to explore, and you know, there's just different things that you can do out there. And I think a lot of what this film was doing was just kind of resetting the palette a little bit and kind of saying like, okay, you know, sorry about the other one that we'll talk about, and, you know, kind of getting it kind of back on track and, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, we love to, and there's definitely tons to explore, but again, you know, we don't want to kind of jinx ourselves, I guess.
Also, this was a really emotional, true-to-life account of these victims. Thanks for doing them justice.
Yeah, no, and it's amazing that we're able to find people who look like them.
All of them have twins.
Minor reshoots that we had to do after, again, just what's going on in Maryland, it's so upsetting. and thanks to Lionsgate for having the courage to expose it.
One last question. Was there another one up the balcony, or was it just that one? All right?
I mean, I can hear you.
The Sony A7 and the Panasonic HMC 150.
Give him a hand.